Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of Free-to-Play Focus. My name is David Jagno here from the Koalition.com, and I'm here to talk to you about Champions Online, which is a free-to-play and free-to-download superhero-based MMORPG. Let's get right into it. Once you create an account, either a Perfect World account or a Cryptic account, to log into the game, and you'll be brought up with your character list. Here's one of my characters I already have created. He's a demon-style character named Demonico. Does fire-based attacks. Well, let's go into the character creation screen first. This is what a new player would be presented with. You have a whole list of different archetypes, is what they're called, that you can choose from, even just as a free player. You have your ranged damage dealer, that's the Inferno, that's what Demonico is. You have a ranged class called the Marksman. It focuses on ranged damage using bow and arrow, but you can design your character however you want. And a similar one called the Soldier, uses weapons and guns and stuff like that. Then you have your tank-based classes. One of them is the Glacier, which is ice-based, and then you also have the Behemoth, which is just, brute force, stuff like that. Then you have your melee archetypes. One of them is called the Unleashed, and the design's kind of like a Sith character, like a Sith Lord from Star Wars, something like that. And then you have the Blade, which reminds me of Deadpool a little bit. His blade-based attacks, stuff like that. Then you have what's called a hybrid archetype that just kind of has a little bit of everything. It's mostly mind / psychic / sorcery based powers. And then you have your support. There's the Radiant, which is essentially like the Champion's version of a Paladin or Cleric type. And then you have the Mind, which is, kind of a stay-in-the-back sorcerer type support class. So for the purpose of this, let's go in and create a hybrid character, just so you can kind of see what this kind of flashy type is like. And of course, you can do male or female for any archetype. And you can even check out their full power progression. It shows you all the abilities they'll get, and what level they get those abilities. So for this, let's make a male. And here is the costume screen. This is almost a game in and of itself. I have spent hours making characters, deleting them, remaking them, saving costumes. You can do all kinds of stuff in this character creation screen. Just to get a little taste of what you can do, hit randomize, and it'll just give you a random costume that just gives you a little bit of a hint at what you are capable of doing. And as you can see, there are basically endless possibilities as far as creating your character goes. And it really just, what you can do is just keep hitting random until you see some kind of style that inspires you. See, like this is pretty cool. You can work with this. So what you do, now that we're in the head tab, you have a whole set of options to pick from. What type of head do you want your character to have? Do you want them to have something like this? So like, let's go with the half helmet. And this is where it head types at. Then you pick your costume piece. What kind of helmet do you want? Let's go with that. It kind of looks like Iron Man almost. Pretty cool. Then you pick your head wear underneath that. And so that's going to be what's on top of his head. You can get a helmet there, helmet spiked. Anything you see with this logo means that you have to purchase it with the in-game money. But even without that stuff, there are still just so many options. You even get to pick the material that your clothing pieces are made out of. So you can make them out of metal, so they have kind of a metallic shine. They're matte, so they're a little bit more toned down. Or you can even go with leather, so that it's just a little more simpler color scheme. It's hard to tell the difference right now, but you get to notice more once you get deeper into the customization. Alright, so after you create your character, you'll end up with something, purely customized and very unique. It's very difficult to find anything similar to what you made once you get into the game. Here you choose your name, create a story. Let's go with that for my story, because it's true. And there you go. You can go directly into the tutorial, which is what you would do as a new player. or you can skip ahead and skip the tutorial if you've already made a character that completed it, and it auto levels you up to the level you would be if you did complete the tutorial. So that's really nice, saves you a lot of time. You can even save the costumes and use them later, or something like that. Alright, here you go. This is what the in-game UI looks like. Once you get done with the tutorial, you'll come here to this place called the Powerhouse, which has different training areas, has an arena for you to practice in. This is also where you level up and get different powers, and you get what's called a travel power, which is very fun. There are many different types of travel powers that you can get. And so let's go ahead and take a look at them right now. Here's the list of the travel powers. You have these 7 to choose from for free. The rest you have to pay to get. Well, it looks like they added a new one since I played last. Or actually, more, it looks like, to choose from. You can get a jetpack now. Anyways. Alright, here we are in the mobility testing chamber. Here's where it lets you test out travel powers if you want to come here and just kind of get a feel for how they work. So there are 2 ways you can activate your power. You can press T and just tap it, turns it on, and then as you start to use it and get moving, you'll build up speed and momentum as you move. And so, you know, flight's very easy to control. You simply just move like you would normally, and you can hold down the right mouse button to move the camera and steer where you're going. Also, you can hold down spacebar to go directly up. So it's very simple to use. Another way to activate your power is if you hold down T and charge it up all the way, you'll go into full speed right off the bat. So that's usually the way I use it, because it's a lot easier to, you know, go straight up into the air and be going full speed. And this is the jetpack. Press T to turn it on, and it pretty much functions just like flight does, for the most part. What you would want to do to make this actually look different is whenever you're creating your character, you can choose to put a jetpack on them. And, you know, it would kind of give you the sound effects and everything to go along with that. Alright, the next travel power I'll show everyone is Super Jump. So let's turn it on, and as you see, you run around normally, but whenever you hold down space, you go way up into the air. And so it also makes you move faster as well. So you can just cycle through hitting jump, and you'll fly around everywhere. It's pretty versatile, lets you move quite a bit. It's pretty cool to see someone, you know, jumping across an entire city and leaping over buildings in a single bound, as you might say. So it's fun to use. Alright, the next power I'm going to show you is Super Speed. Once you turn that on, you take off. You move pretty quick. You can't really jump that high, but you know, you move fairly fast. It's not really one of my favorites because it's pretty limited. You know, you don't jump very high at all. You can't really run up walls or anything like that. It's good for traveling on the ground, but I mean, you might as well just pick flight or something because that's more versatile. But if it goes with your character and it goes with the background of the kind of character you want to make, then I can understand why you want to pick Super Speed. Next up, I chose Mach Speed. So let's go ahead and test this one out. As you can see, it's very similar to Super Speed. It just has a different running style, a little bit different aesthetics to it, but it's very similar to Super Speed, just kind of a different variation. Alright, next up we have Acrobatics. This one's kind of a more practical one to use. You don't really have the same speed as Super Speed, but it lets you jump pretty high. You can do some nice tricks and moves in the air, which are always cool. This one's also kind of a stylistic power that you would choose if it goes with your character style. I could imagine a beast type character or something that's kind of designed after an animal or something like that to choose Acrobatics. Next we have Athletics, which is very similar to Acrobatics, just like Mach Speed is similar to Super Speed. Just has a little bit different running style, some different design choices to it. It's very similar though, so, you know, if you like it better, then choose it. Now for the last of the truly unique powers that are not like another power in the set is teleportation. This one's interesting because instead of you having to power it up or activate it, you simply press T and you go into teleport mode and you can move around freely just like you have flight. But the interesting thing is it lets you, well, teleport. This is probably pretty interesting for PvP and things like that because you can move around the battlefield. I assume combat limits it quite a bit. And what you can do is either wait for it to run out or you can press T to pop out of it. And you know, after you come out there's a little bit of a delay before you fully reappear into the world, which limits some of your action. And you can see there's a little bit of a kind of like a phase effect right there where I used to be, and then it disappears. So this one's, it's definitely an interesting power, and I'm pretty intrigued by it. Now I'm going to give you a quick look at how gameplay works in Champions Online. As you can see, I'm now in the game as Demonico, my previously created character. He is an Inferno archetype, which means he uses fire-based ranged attacks. And I'm down here on a street corner where there's a bunch of gang members from what's called the Purple Gang. They all wear purple, if you couldn't guess that from their name. Here's a group of them over here, so let's go ahead and check out the combat. You can fight while using your tribal powers, but you're a little bit limited as far as your abilities go. One good thing to note, how I mentioned with the jetpack, see how I have wings attached? Whenever I'm using flight, the wings actually flap. So the game recognizes what types of costume pieces you have on and uses them appropriately, which I think is a really nice touch. They don't just sit there static, but they actually move realistically with how I'm flying around and moving in the world. So let's go over here and attack these gang members. As you can see, I have quite a few different powers. My number one is a simple auto attack that builds up my magic meter right here for my abilities. Number two is a blast that just kind of does a little bit of AoE damage, and it, you know, just kind of hurts them a little bit. And three is a charged attack. So let's take a look at all of them. My number one, hit it and you just kind of automatically attack like that. Number two drains a little bit of my blue meter. It's a little bit of a burst. Then you see number three, I can hold it, charge it up, and release. And it does massive amounts of damage to an area. And so you'll see that's what the Inferno archetype's really good at, is just doing big amounts of damage very quickly. As you can see, just these 3 or 4 little members of the gang did some damage to me though, because I don't have very good defenses based on my archetype. And you see here, they drop items. So I can pick that up, and it's a little cache of treasures. It can give me different rewards. So the game does have loot. You're not going to be able to alter your costume based on loot you find in the game. Instead, what you can do is equip these enhancements that enhance different abilities that you have on your character. If you want to change your costume, you can do that from an actual NPC that is designed just for adjusting your costume. And you can have multiple costumes equipped, so you can change on the fly if you want. Alright, now we can take a look at some of the game's actual features and menus and stuff like that make it stand out a little bit. As you can see here on this panel, this is called an alert panel, which are different, essentially raids that you can run with other players. They're villain focused, so you'll go into a group and you go into a dungeon and you'll raid through and go through the hideout of a villain, stuff like that. They're queued up and they kind of alternate, so there's different ones to do whenever you log on at different days and stuff. But if you go ahead and click this little on alert button, it'll actually walk you through some of the features in the game. So for example, you can sign up for alerts here, get some info about the different items and modifications, specializations for your hero, earn rewards and recognition, all different kinds of stuff that you can look into just by clicking on that panel right there. There you go. That's a look into Champions Online, which is totally free to download and free to play. You can download it from their website, or you can download it within Steam. It's 100% free to download and play, just like everything that'll be featured on this show. To end it here, I'm just going to show a little bit of gameplay of me fighting some different enemies. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have recommendations for future games that I should play and showcase on Free to Play Focus, please comment down below. If you're watching this on the Koalition website, then please feel free to visit the YouTube page and give it a like and a comment, and you can watch me die as the video ends. Got a little bit in over my head. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more videos on free-to-play games and other games and gameplay videos before they come out. And visit thekoalition.com for my full preview and article write-up.